Oh, you're so funny, Chris. What is up, nerds? We are rocking and rolling. The reason for the delay is because now it's gonna cooperate. Whatever. The reason for the delay was because I was trying to get a multi-stream situation set up once again, and once again, it has failed me. So, unfortunately, it is a solo stream, but whatever. I guess that means it's easier for my computer to broadcast, right? So, welcome, nerds. This is, like I said, we're going to have weird situation for the next few weeks as far as what the show looks like. This is what the show looks like this week. Very potentially, we will do something similar next week, or we'll just have some reaction videos go up because I won't have the time to even broadcast. But we have at least a little bit of time to broadcast this week, and I've got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about. So all of that being said, thank you very much. Oh, I guess before we get into the proper show. Oh no. There we go. Before we get into the proper show, do I not have the dubby thing on here anymore? Oh, I don't. How is that even possible? There it is. Okay. Yay! Channel partner is Dubby. Once again, super, super dangerous because it's so tasty. The new s'mores flavor, legit, I've had one every day this week. So, yeah, it is. It's very good, and I'm super glad that they're partnering with the channel because like I just said, I drink the stuff every day. I actually had two dubbies today. I had the s'mores with just after breakfast, and then right before the gym, I had a little bit of orange. So the Cali O cream, orange cream soda. It was wonderful, and yeah, just go check out w.gg. Use code generally nerdy at checkout if you want to try the craziest energy drink you've probably ever tried, and also one of the most delicious, and that is the s'mores by far. That being said, thank you very much, Dubby. And then also, I don't think I have this legitimately, but I bet I have the image. I can open up the image. Let's see how long it takes to open up an image, shall we? So I have been doing a real big push on the merch, and the special shirt that's up right now is pretty freaking awesome. If you have not seen the most recent videos, then I'm gonna show it to you, assuming I can find it very, very quickly. It's a new music nerd shirt, 2025. Where are you, merch? Music nerd, Phantom nerd. That's right. It is this guy right here. Oh, he's gigantic. Let's make it a little bit smaller. Whee! Yes, that is the design that is on the new merch for the month. Music nerd, because Phantom of the Opera is a music nerd, and I thought it was pretty awesome. I'm clever, damn it. Anyway, that is what we're looking at for this month's special. I might actually stay up a little bit longer than that, just again, because we have a pretty crazy few weeks. So this one's going to stay up for a while, just so that I at least have the merch side of things covered. And I just love the design so much. So go check out the code or the store, which is linked down in the description. All of that being said, hello, nerds. Let's talk about the things and the stuff. First things first. Again, I just don't have all of my buttons where they should be, I think. Oh, whatever. We're going into the music section because we have music things to talk about. This one? No. This one? Yes. All right. So, this is a real quick follow-up. We talked about... Actually, no, we didn't end up talking about this one. For whatever reason, it didn't make the cut. A couple of weeks ago, former bass player for one of my favorite hardcore bands, Comeback Kid, was diagnosed with ALS and has now succumbed to the ALS. Matt Keil, former bass player for Canadian melodic hardcore band Comeback Kid, has passed away following a courageous 19-month battle. Oh, I guess he was diagnosed a little while ago, but they started a GoFundMe a few weeks ago. That was the news piece. And he was a member of the band from 2008 to 2014, which is right about the time when I found them, because that's right about when they put out the Wake the Dead record. And yeah, That just sucks. So just wanted to send some good vibes out to his family. As you can see, he's survived by his wife and 2 children. So sad news there. But let's get away from the sad news and let's talk about something cooler. And that would be this right here. Snot band kind of grew in crazy popularity in the early days of the nu metals. Their vocalist Lynn, oh good lord, I'm not going to remember his last name, died, and they put out the one record and then kind of didn't really do anything. And then their guitar player played with Limp Bizkit for a hot second when Wes Borland quit, and now they are apparently recording new music with a new vocalist. Reactivated Santa Barbara-based metal punk rock hybrid Snot has entered Dead End Studios in Palm Desert, California, with producer, engineer, and mixer Chris Collier to lay down tracks for 2 brand new songs, which are set to be released late 2025 or early 2026. On Sunday, July 13th, Snot guitarist Mike Doling, not the guitarist that played with Limp Bizkit. Actually, I don't think the guy who played with Limp Bizkit is in Snot anymore. But Mike Doling shared a video message in which he said about the band's current recording activities as transcribed by Blabbermouth, because that's where the news comes from. Yesterday, we tracked Jamie Miller on drums on 2 new songs. We grabbed the bass on 2 new songs. I had previously already tracked most of my guitar on those songs. Oh, yeah, and then I did some overdubs yesterday and some guitar solo stuff and stuff like that. And Andy Knapp was down hanging out, our singer, hanging out in the studio yesterday. It was really cool vibes. We're working with Chris Collier. He's just my brother, is an amazing producer. It's just awesome to work with him. He really pulls it out of us, and I appreciate that, Chris. And the studio, Dead End Studios, owned by one of my best friends, Brad Garrow. We're up there working, and I'm just so happy, blah, blah, blah. So pretty awesome. Snot is back in the studio, putting out some new stuff. Pretty interested to see what happens. Actually, I take that back. Is that right? I might be mistaking. There we go. Yeah, okay. I'm not losing my mind. Snot will play, blah, blah, blah. Snot disbanded in 98 following Lynn Straight, that's his name, Straight's death, putting to an end career generated considerable promise, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay. So I'm not losing my mind. They recruited Carl Bensley to sing for the band following departure of Tommy Vext. Tommy Vext, who also used to sing for Bad Wolves and also Divine Heresy. So this is not the first time they've replaced Lynn. However, this is, I believe, the first time they've really put out new music. But again, hasn't really been on my radar for some time. So maybe I'm wrong. Either way, pretty awesome. Moving on. Our next piece, staying in music. Let's talk. Well, this is another follow-up. We'll talk about this real quick. We'll try and make these all pretty quick little jaunts through the music section, since usually live stream doesn't do super great when we talk music. But Vimic, which was one of the bands that Joey Jordison was playing with before he died, they have recruited Crypta drummer Luana Dametto for a reunion show. Vimic has recruited, again, Luana Dametto, Dametto? Sure. To sit behind the kit for upcoming event reuniting the surviving members of the band and honoring Joey Jordison. Taking place in L.A. on October 3rd at Terragram Ballroom, the Joey Jordison Charitable Fund presented concert will not only honor Jordison's memory, but also celebrate the release of the long-awaited Vimic album. Vimic will be supported by Wednesday 13. Of course they will, because Wednesday was one of Joey's biggest fans and collaborators, so that makes sense, along with some other very special guests. Vimic said, "We're excited to announce that Luana Dametto will be joining us as special guest drummer for Vimic show on October 3rd in LA. Luana is an incredible talent with power, precision, and passion behind the kit, and we're absolutely thrilled to have her sit in for this unforgettable night, honoring Joey Jordison and the release of Open Your Omen." And then it goes into a little bit of who Luana is. She started playing when she was 12, stated about Joey's influence on her playing. "Joey was my first drum idol. And so at the very beginning, he was my only reference, and and what a great reference I've picked. No kidding. From his blast beating style and his relentless double bass just show how creative his fills and grooves can be. He shaped entirely how I think about the drums. That's pretty awesome. That's pretty dang cool. So yeah, real quick on that one as well. Vimic has decided they're actually going to release that record, and that is always a good thing. New music is great, especially when it was related to Joey. Another quick follow-up piece with Ozzy Osbourne's retirement. We now have the release of his newest memoir, Last Rites. Real quick, October 7th is when it's going to be out. This is probably the last and most definitive version of the Ozzy Osbourne memoir. I don't know how much of this was him, though. Let's see if it mentions it in here. Raw memoir from Ozzy. Last Rites is a shocking, bitterly hilarious, never-before-told story of Osbourne's descent into hell related to his health issues over the course of the last 7 years. Oh, so this is just covering the last 7 years of his life. That's interesting. Along the way, he reflects an extraordinary life and career, including his turbulent marriage to wife Sharon. His encounters with fellow Hellraisers include Slash, Bon Scott, John Bonham, Keith Moon, harrowing final moments he spent with Motorhead's Lemmy Kilmister, all alongside his reflections on triumphant Back to the Beginning concerts streamed around the world, where Ozzy reunited with his Black Sabbath bandmates for the final time and raised millions for charity. Along that note, this past week's suggestion in the music section was to go check out those performances. If you did not do that, they have all been pulled from YouTube. Sad to say, but it is true. All of them are no longer available. So you just got to wait for the DVD to come out, because you know they're going to release a DVD. But yeah, Ozzy's releasing behind the scenes, effectively, of his health decline over the course of the last few years. That's a lot cooler because it leads into the positive of Back to the Beginnings, but still kind of sad. Let's continue on. We only have a couple more here in music, and they're all going to be pretty quick. This one is Hopeless Records and Fat Records announced a landmark partnership. So Fat Records, if you don't know, is the record company started by this man right here, Fat Mike from NoFX. What does the article have to say? Let's get into it. Hopeless and Fat Records have announced a joint effort that unites two of punk's most influential independent labels in a full-circle moment more than 3 decades in the making. The alliance reflects both labels' artist-first ethos and deep roots in the punk community. So it doesn't sound so much as a partnership, more of a joining. Part of the partnership, Hopeless is acquiring the Fat Records catalog, but just as important is what's being left behind. In a move guided by Fat Mike and Aaron's long-held artist-first philosophy, all unrecouped balances for current signed Fat artists will be zeroed out. No strings, no fine print, just a clean slate for every signed band that's helped shape. Oh, that's really cool. At Fat's request, Hopeless will adopt no new signings policy for Fat Records, ensuring all focus and resources stay on its existing roster. Fat Mike and Aaron. So yeah, this is Hopeless purchasing Fat Records, it seems. Fat Mike and Aaron will retain the Fat Records logo and trademark, continuing to represent the label through festivals and pop-up shops. The partnership is the result of a long-standing connection between Fat Records and Hopeless. In 1992, young music video director named Lois Posen cold-called Fat Mike to direct a video for NoFX, Bob. The two became friends, and when Lois began... Yeah, that's Lois, right? Lewis, sorry, began to lose his eyesight and shifted careers from film to music. Fat Mike and Aaron welcomed him into the Fat Records office, helping him learn the ropes of running independent record label. Hopeless was born the following year. Without Fat Records, there would be no Hopeless. It's the natural result of 3 decades of friendship, trust, and a shared belief in putting artists and community first. Huh. They didn't come together to grow bigger. They did it to keep punk exactly where it belongs, in the hands of the people who built it. That's a weird... So Fat Records is kind of dissolving mostly, except for you'll see the name at festivals. That, I don't know how I feel about that, but okay. We got a little bit of touring news next. And we'll talk about some singles. Yep, that sounds pretty appropriate to finish this off. Let's do this. So, Baroness has announced that they're going to be continuing the Red and Blue tour. Baroness recently wrapped up a sold-out East Coast tour featuring intimate performances of the band's seminal Red album and Blue record in their entirety. The band now brings the tour to Western North America with a newly announced slate of fall dates. If you are unfamiliar, Baroness is a really good entry point for somebody who's not like super embedded into like the metal community. Technically they're doom metal, I want to say. Maybe stoner would be. But they're fantastic. I've seen Baroness about a half a dozen times throughout the years, and just every time they do not fail to put on a great show. Even if it is a super simple bare bones show, it is still a great show. So continuing with the article, West Coast, we're bringing the Red and Blue tour in your direction this September with our friends and tour mates Weed Eater. Hell yeah. Baroness vocalist guitarist John Baisley shares the first leg of the tour through the Northeast. Such a blast. We knew we may have to add a second leg. Throughout the tour, we read our messages and saw all of your comments asking for it. So here it is, Red and Blue Part 2. We can't wait to see you again. We'll be playing through the entirety of both records. Get yourselves ready for 90-plus minutes of intense rock music. From the psychedelic-laden Isaac to the ethereal melodies of The Sweetest Curse, these special evenings offer fans a rare chance to see Savannah-born outfit performing songs that are seldom performed live. Oh, they have... Oh, yeah. You told me this, didn't you? The Baroness 2 dates at the Marquee. Yeah. So starting in Denver, they have 2 dates in September, September 5th and 6th. Then we go through Salt Lake and all the way down to Albuquerque. They do spend a little bit of time on the coast. A little bit. They spend about a third of the time on the coast. Portland, half the time, I guess I should say. They go up to Vancouver for a second. So that's pretty awesome. No Weed Eater on one date, and that is Fresno, California at Strummers. Unfortunate, but it is what it is. Link will probably be available sometime since there's not a link here in the article, and I don't want to go to the band's website right now, but look at that artwork. Isn't that just pretty freaking awesome? Anyway, that is our second to last. Let's get our last piece here real quick because this one's going to be a little fun. Oh, come on. Copy-paste is fighting me right now. Nope. Copy-paste is still fighting me. What the hell? Copy. Oh no. Paste. There we go. So, according to Blabbermouth, nope, that's not right. Not Blabbermouth. According to Metal Injection, why did it try to take me to somewhere on Blabbermouth? According to Metal Injection, these are the top tracks for the week. Let's see how many of these we've heard. Born of Osiris, Through Shadows. So, legitimately have not really liked the last 2 Born of Osiris records. This new track off of what I'm assuming is a new... Oh, no. Yeah, is a brand new record. Is some of the best Born of Osiris music I've heard in like 3 records. So definitely go check this one out. It is going to be more of the melodic stuff that most of their old school fans don't care for as much, but it's working much better than the last record was. Calva Louise, Edge of the Abyss. This one I have not heard. Alternative metal from Manchester, England. Interesting. This band really rad, according to Metal Injection, which I trust Metal Injection's opinion. They're an alternative metal band with big choruses and heavy grooves. When they veer from that is when they really shine through. They dabble in Latin American folk, electronic, deathcore, and more. Oh, that sounds super interesting. I'm going to have to go check this one out after, because we don't listen, because we're live. We're not listening to music on the live stream. Enter Shikari, live at Wembley. That looks nuts. Metalcore, electronic. I feel like every band from the UK ultimately wants to play Wembley, and when they do, they go all out for the live release. Muse did it, Biffy Clearo, I don't know who that is, and Enter Shikari did it. They play a little something from all their albums. It's a must for fans. Sure. Hell, I have not heard this track, but I have heard Hell. Name of the song is Submerses, Blackened Doom. Doom is just kind of a fun subgenre. It's kind of got the best of a lot of different subgenres, and it's easily digestible. Blackened version of that, though, is going to be less on the digestible side. It's going to be a lot more of those really harsh vocals, really subpar production. So just kind of keep that in mind. But Hell is a pretty decent band, so I would say this is probably worth a listen. Impuriza, Alcazares, sure. Origin, Orleans. In France. Ew, flamenco death metal. What the hell? Just based on that alone, I would say go listen to that one. In the Company of Serpents. Again, heard the band. I don't know that I've heard the song yet, though. Sludge Doom. Sludge is just like the slower stoner brother of Doom. It's kind of got a lot of elements of Sabbath. So if you like the slower, more doomy elements of Sabbath, you'll probably like Sludge stuff. And in the Company of Serpents, they don't remember disliking. So there's that. I don't know. Honorable mentions: Angerat, Celestial Wizard, Chronos Compulsion, Dead Seven, Death Rattle, Decadence Incarnate. That one's actually a pretty decent track if you like melodic death. Diamond Head has live. Yes, that is pretty freaking awesome. Disembodiment, Double Vision, Ambers of Ouroboros. This actually I have heard. Horror, pain, gore, death productions. It's black metal. It is a little nuts. It is kind of on the much more extreme side of things, but if you're into that, then this is a pretty decent. I think I've only heard one track, because I think this is the album title, not the track title, but I could be wrong. From Warriors, Girl School. Girl School got really big there for a little while back, but I never understood why. They apparently have a new record out, so sure. Laguna, Madhouse, Philosophia, Pygmula, Sheev. Yeah, nothing else on here that's really striking my fancy. So, done with... Where are we? Done with music. Let's get into... What else do we have? I know I took notes for this. Gaming. We have a little bit of everything except for no rumors to speak of. So, yeah, next up is gaming and tech. Let's do the fancy thing. We go here. We go here. And we do this. All right, so gaming and tech stuff. We go back to the reading. Yeah. First up on this is... Oh, that's right. I forgot this happened. Let's actually... What am I doing? That. Go in here. This is a follow-up on the Stop Killing Games movement. The founder of the European video games, the Video Games Europe lobby. Video Games Europe. They issued a statement involving the movement, and it's a little bit ridiculous. So we're going to read this and go through that. But declared their opposition to Stop Killing Games movement. No kidding. Campaign's founder, Ross Scott, rejected their flawed reasoning and total misunderstanding of the movement's goals. To give you the TLDR, this is a movement in Europe that they're trying to get signatures for, but you must be an EU citizen in order for your signature to matter. Though, again, I've been unable to verify exactly how it works, but I have been told that you must show proof of citizenship before they'll allow you to sign the petition. So it seems that all million signatures that they needed in order to get this in front of Congress should be legitimate, but they are going for 1.3 million signatures by the end of the month. Or I'm sorry, they're at 1.3 million signatures. They need 1.5 is what their goal is by the end of the month, and it seems like they're going to get it. In order to get European Parliament, I think is what it is, not Congress. Congress is in the U.S. European Parliament to pass laws so that video game companies must sundown their games, not support. I think the vocabulary is very important here, because that is one of the reasons why some people in the community have been confused into saying that they don't support the movement, is because they don't understand that they're not demanding that games companies keep the servers connected to their games online until the end of time. Like, that's ridiculous. What they're requesting, what they're trying to get laws passed for, is so that if you have a game that requires an online connection to the company's servers, once they take those servers down, they sundown the game in such a way that it is still playable, at least by and large, after there are no longer servers to connect to. However that has to happen, or however that ends up happening, I guess is more appropriate, is kind of onto the game developer, because you can just switch it to offline only, which is kind of how games have worked throughout the last 80 plus years of video gaming. Or you can allow the community to run community ran servers that the games can connect to. Like, there's a number of different things that they can do. And that's what they're saying. We want you to do something so that just because you can no longer monetarily support this game doesn't mean that we don't still want to play this game, however small or large the community ends up being by the end. And if you're not behind that, I think you're still misunderstanding something. So I don't know. Maybe I'm not explaining it perfectly. But, so continuing on with the article. As previously reported, the Stop Killing Games EU petition finally reached 1 million signatures. It's arguably brought over the line after creator Ross Scott claimed that coverage by YouTuber Pirate Software misrepresented its goals and caused harm, only for bigger YouTubers to highlight inaccuracies and make a call to arms. That is a very large part of the reason. Like, that's how I found out about it, was because pretty sure it was Linus Tech Tips is where I heard about it. If enough signatures are valid, that means European Union Parliament must discuss making it illegal for video games companies to kill a game, i.e. closing official servers the game needs to run without offering any way for gamers to use their own, or for the game to function without servers. That is the key right there. That one sentence explains it all. Now, Video Games Europe, excuse me, label and publisher group has announced their stance, rejecting the proposed laws. No kidding. Why wouldn't they? Quote, "We appreciate the passion of our community. However, the decision to discontinue online services is multifaceted, never taken lightly, and must be an option for companies when an online experience is no longer commercially viable." They missed their Oxford comma right there. I refuse to not point that out, because Oxford commas are legitimately used. Anyway, we understand, continuing with the quote, "We understand that it can be disappointing for players, but when it does happen, the industry ensures that players are given fair notice of prospective changes in compliance with local consumer protection laws," unquote. Scott has previously rejected similar claims, such as the box or purchase page making no warnings about some titles eventually becoming completely inoperable. I love that they have a picture of Concord right here, because that lasted 3 weeks. Wasn't even up for a month. So how could they have given an appropriate amount of time to warn people that it was going offline? VGE explains, "Private servers are not always a viable alternative option for players, as the protections we put in place to secure players' data, remove illegal content, and combat unsafe community content would not exist and would leave rights holders liable." I can understand that, but that's not your only option. Continuing with the quote, "In addition, many titles are designed from the ground up to be online only. In effect, these proposals would curtail developer choice by making these video games prohibitively expensive to create," unquote. That's inaccurate. VGE then forewarned, quote, "We welcome the opportunity to discuss our position with policymakers and those who have led the European Citizens Initiative in the coming months," unquote. So, I think the thing that I haven't heard anyone talk about inside the movement yet is that there are legitimate, like, how, I mean, I was going to say, how are you going to do something like Halo Infinite multiplayer? But, like, it's a multiplayer thing. You can totally play it on a LAN, or because they have a legitimate point with players secure data, illegal content, unsafe community, etc., etc. Like, that is a legitimate issue when you allow player curated servers. Like, that makes sense. However, if you find a way to make them not online only, which shouldn't be, I don't know, I don't understand how that makes it prohibitive. What was the vocabulary they used? Curtail developer choice by making these video games prohibitively expensive to create. I don't understand where that argument comes in. If you simply just because basically what it is on a single player game that's checking for online servers is it's checking in with the server every so often to legitimize that you have a legitimate copy of the game and it's not a pirated copy. If you delete that line of code or change that line of code in such a way so that it no longer does that check and no longer needs that verification from the server because the server is no longer there, like, then the piracy is going to happen anyway. And after a game has run through the paces, as it were, like, there's no reason to think that it's going to, that the piracy is going to ramp up all of a sudden after the game's been out for 4 years or however long you supported it. So just doesn't seem to make sense to me. Anyway, let's continue on. Good Lord, there we are. In their more detailed position paper, the VGE attempted to explain why providing continued support does not work for all games. Let's correct their grammar, shall we? Despite Scott and the campaign repeatedly stating they don't want companies shackled to endlessly supporting a game, rather wanting a game able to function even without that support. Like, I don't think we need to keep repeating that. There was, I thought I must not have read deeper into this because I thought there was something. It would be prohibitive cost. Here we go. It would be prohibitive cost, they argue, further illustrating, in some cases, years or decades after the game's initial release when only a small audience remains. That's the irrelevant point that they were talking about a moment ago. Insists video game companies are committed to the preservation of games. Oh, that's bullshit, and we all know it. There was a study done by the game's historian. I forget exactly what the name of the company was. It's been cited by the gaming historian on YouTube. I just can't remember who conducted the it's not even really a survey. They just took of all of the games previously released, and I think they only went up through like the Nintendo 64 era. Of all the games released up to that point, we had less than like 30% or something of all those games available. So preservation of their cultural value is not actually happening. Preservation of the games themselves is absolutely not happening. So yeah, I think that's a little bit ridiculous. These include Microsoft, Nintendo, blah 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 blah. Oh, here we go. This is the part that I thought was super interesting, because this goes against everything that the VGE is saying. Of note, VGE chairwoman Hester Woodlife of Warner Brothers Games considering Multiverse was shut down at the start of the year, and the Backlash Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League received over its always online requirement. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League implemented an offline mode when it was shut down because it is no longer being supported by Warner Brothers, despite Warner Brothers Games taking a $200 million loss over the game. Ironically, Warner Brothers Games, where VGE's chairwoman is SVP of Publishing, seems to support the Stop Killing Games goals, even when making a massive loss, thus proving this is cheaper than keeping it running as the VGE fears. Nintendo, another VGE member, also updated Animal Crossing Pocket Camp in December last year, removing gacha and online elements to become a paid offline game with all the content in the game. Pocket Camp Complete is what it's called. At the time, Polygon reported, has Nintendo just figured out how to shut down a live game in a good way? It would certainly seem so. Scott covered the VGE response in his YouTube channel. I wish, if I click on that, we're going to get some sort of issue, so I can't. But his YouTube, oh, there we go. Nope. Whatever. I'll try and put links in after we shut down the live. Continuing on, while conceding an unsupported game under consumer control could result in, quote, a rougher and more wild experience, which Scott knew first had over his Ross's game dungeon covering such games, but nonetheless was not an excuse to destroy what people paid for. Clarifying, it just means they're on their own. Despite this, Scott feels it's very not true. Rights holders would be liable after relinquishing a game, taking it to the industry being incapable of writing an EULA and user licensing agreement that absolves them of liability after shutdown, despite similar with other products and services. He even suggests an example disclaimer, quote, once our company ends support, we are not responsible for any and all issues that arise from users continuing to operate the game in a discontinued and unsupported state and absolve ourselves from any and all liability pertaining to its continued use. Sounds legit to me. Summarizes VGE's argument as any consumer playing an unlicensed game is a, quote, liability and are now taking an, quote, extreme, hostile, unquote, approach to prevent that happening. Now they have the technology. Scott again suggests a simple fix, a splash screen that says the game isn't supported and the risk is entirely on the consumer. Yes. Like, he's definitely put a lot of thought into this. I really hope this goes in front of Parliament, just because that just sounds perfect. That sounds like exactly what we need. Let's move over a little bit more on the tech side of gaming and tech. This one is going to be a real quick one. We have just the announcement that Google is finally going to be unifying Android OS and Chrome OS. Google executive says the company, Samir Samat is the executive who said it. Google is taking another step towards unifying the ecosystem by merging Android and Chrome OS. Samir Samat, the president of Google's Android ecosystem, confirmed this shift in an interview with Tech Radar. This is from yesterday. Samat was curious how the publication's Lance Ulanoff manages things across several Apple devices, namely a MacBook, iPhone, and Apple Watch. I asked because they're going to be combining Chrome OS and Android into a single platform. I'm very interested in how people are using their laptops these days and what they're getting done. It does not say when the planned merger is going to happen, but it is going to happen. And doesn't say which naming scheme they're staying with. They're going to keep calling it Android OS. Is everything going to become Chrome OS? That remains to be seen as well. But when we get there, we'll keep following up on stuff. We have a follow-up on Resident Evil. Resident Evil mobile game. We got a first glimpse of from Capcom. Capcom just shared a lengthy trailer for the upcoming Resident Evil Survival Unit. This is a mobile game, but not a remake of a pre-existing title. I don't know how much we're going to be able to hear, so let's just see what happens. Let's see if OBS is hearing this. Nope, no audio. Sad times. Let's see if we can get to gameplay. So we can at least, there we go. There's some gameplay. I mean, that looks pretty great for a mobile game, right? Can we get bigger? Let's get bigger. Let's make it bigger. That looks really cool. Like, if I wasn't a Luddite as far as phones go, I would potentially get that, but I am a phone Luddite. I love how Capcom is doing their media presentations anymore with this giant green screen setup that they have. I think it's pretty dang cool. Get some new boss stuff. Yeah, it's definitely worth a watch if you have not watched it yet. Go check it out. It's for the Survival Unit mobile game. It's pretty long, so be aware, but worth a watch nonetheless. And then I think we have, this is kind of a bigger story as evident as kind of shown by this one article. We'll get there. OpenAI's own web browser could arrive within weeks, according to Engadget. OpenAI said to be almost ready to unleash its own web browser. Why is this relevant? Well, because Perplexity just launched their own web browser. But the interesting thing with the Perplexity web browser is that it is Chrome-based. It is Chromium. So, it's basically Chrome with a couple of AI agents built into it. If you want a much more deep dive, go check out Matt Wolf's channel. He does a pretty good deep dive. Or Matt VidPro. Matt VidPro, I think, is the other AI guy that I watch a lot of. He goes even deeper than Matt Wolf does into how it works. It's interesting, but like it's still not to the point where it seems like it's going to be changing how you use a browser, like revolutionizing, I guess, how you use a browser. It's just going to be slightly more convenient. But yeah, according to Reuters, the company is aiming to more deeply integrate its services into users' work and personal lives. The browser is part of that strategy. Our first day with the new tongue. Sorry. Naturally, the browser is slated to have a ChatGPT-style chatbot baked in. OpenAI is reportedly looking to use browser to capture more user data, a strategy that has worked for to Google's benefit with Chrome. Browser is also expected to have an agentic AI features such as Operator, which are billed as tools that can carry out actions such as booking reservations, etc., on a user's behalf, having difficult access to information like the web browsing data. So one of the things in the Matt Wolf video that he kind of gives you an example of what it can do for you is some of the agentic AI in the Perplexity browser that can send a tweet for you. But you have to open the dialog box, tell it what tweet to send, and that it's a tweet that you want to send to X, right? So it's really not any more effective by and large because you have a lot more options if you just went to the X website to begin with. Like if you go to your account in your browser or on your phone, you open up your account via the app, you can schedule your tweets. It didn't look like you could do that with the Perplexity system. So I don't know if OpenAI is going to do any different as far as that is concerned, but it just seems like I said, it's almost there, but I think a large part of it is going to be when they have much more conversational elements with the AI bots that you can talk to. I think then it will be the beginning of revolutionizing how you interact with a browser. Right now, it's just a new finish on top of how the browser already works. So yeah, no idea, according to Reuters, when this is going to be happening, but yeah, it seems to be in the works. So continuing on, that is what we have for gaming and tech, which means we get to do the fancy thing again. Let's go do the fancy thing. Fancy, wee! So now we move into, I don't think we have, oops. Why does it keep doing that? Oh, because I didn't, there we go. Next up is this coming weekend. So it'll start Thursday and run through Sunday. But with that being said, we know a little bit about what to expect from some of our favorite publishers as it pertains to Comic-Con. So Titan Comics is going to be bringing Conan, Blade Runner, and Rebel Moon. Titan Comics has revealed the upcoming Slave San Diego Comic-Con featuring several major titles, including comics set in the Rebel Moon, Conan the Barbarian, and Blade Runner universes. Available at the event, Titan Comics booth is 5537 if you're interested. We'll also be bringing some serious talent to their SDC celebrations. Dan Ponosian, Joe Jusko, Mike Mignola. Oh, that's awesome. McNolla's going to be at the Titan Comics booth. Okay. Inyuk Lee, Tehani Far, Derek Chu, Jim Zub. Awesome. Roman Dirge. Awesome. Being among the names making an appearance. Check out the exclusive signings and panels and information below. Some of the art for these books that they're going to be promoting. I'm super excited about it. New Solomon Kane, Heat Seeker, don't know what that is. Lenore by Roman Dirge, hell yes. Return to Skull Island, we got some Kong. Ooh, look at, he's fighting Cthulhu. The Nemesis book that we talked about when it was announced, that's going to be getting a little bit of love there. Breath, oh, that's the Breathtaker book? Is that what we? No, that's not the one that we were talking about. Bloodborne, Death of Sleep. Oh, deluxe edition. Friday, July 25th. There you go. So it'll be next weekend. Not this coming weekend, but the next weekend. So, yeah, Roman Dirge going to be signing Lenore books. That's awesome. That's what we got on that one. Let's move to the next one. We have this from, continuing from Comics Beat. More San Diego Comic-Con stuff. We have Oni Press's stuff to get through for a moment. Oni Press announces full schedule and merch and more. So we have Oni Press announces its Comic-Con International San Diego 2025 schedule. The Beat has all of the details. The publisher will be booth 1829 from Wednesday. Oh, it starts Wednesday. So it's 5 days now. How long has it been? 5 days for San Diego. July 23rd through July 27th. Merchandise, comics exclusive, and more. Yeah, so if you're interested, once again, I will put links in the description after the live has gone. We have Scott Pilgrim EX. That's cool. EC Comics. Oni Press. The Loudest Thing in Color. Epitaphs from the Abyss. Ooh, Cruel Universe. Adventure Time. Meh. Free for All, Six Gun Battle. No more art. All right, so that's Oni. And then we have IDW. Is that the next one, really? Yep, IDW. That's where we're going. Big plans for TMNT, Godzilla, Star Trek, and more. IDW Publishing has significant plans for San Diego Comic-Con, as the fan-favorite publisher has revealed the exclusives, signings, and panels that will happen at the 2025 convention. IDW will have more than 20 signings from everyone from Art Adams to Kevin Eastman. Hell yeah. We'll host panels showcasing what is coming next for some of its biggest properties, and we'll offer some comics and other merch that will only be available at their booth. So check out the list below. That is some really cool Godzilla art. Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, The Rite of Spring. Star Trek red shirts. Yeah. That's cool. Those are the exclusives, it would seem, for the convention. Exclusive covers that will only be available at the convention, presumably. We got, yeah, the schedule for their panels and the rooms they're going to be in. That's awesome. Once again, links will be in the description after the live has gone. That's really cool. I really like that. Okay, continuing on. This is DC San Diego Comic-Con exclusives. Let's do it. DC Comics reveals huge San Diego Comic-Con plans and exclusives. DC Comics has revealed its slate of activations, panels, and exclusives that will be available at San Diego Comic-Con 2025. For exclusive comics, DC will be selling limited printings of special edition foil covers for Absolute Batman #1, Absolute Superman #1, and Absolute Wonder Woman #1. All the covers will be by Jay Lee. Bat symbol foil variant of Batman 158, and S Shield Supergirl #1 foil variant cover, a Stanley Art Germ Lau foil variant cover on New History of the DC Universe. A Superman Unlimited #1, Superman X Fortnite foil variant cover by Jim Lee. Justice League vs. Godzilla vs. Kong #2, #1. Titan-sized special edition foil variant cover. Wow, there's a lot of really cool. This must be, yeah, this is the art for the foil variants. That's crazy. Batman Hush 2. Exclusive merchandise is going to be some shirts and stuff, just like you would think. And then, is this also a schedule? Milkbone and DC unleash a superpowered friendship. Oh, that's cool. In a heartwarming collaboration, Milkbone and DC present Superman, a Friendship Unleashed. 12-page original comic celebrating the bond between Superman and his loyal canine companion, Crypto the Superdog. That's cool. Written by Ivan Cohen, illustrated by Travis Mercer. Comic explores themes of loyalty, courage, and companionship. Be available exclusively at San Diego Comic-Con 2025 as a Virgin Convention exclusive, featuring no logos or text on the cover for a clean, collectible look. Fans who purchase a limited edition Milkbone X Superman box at the DC booth will receive a free copy of the comic while supplies last. The booth will also feature a 20-foot lightbox display of Mercer's stunning cover art. But they're not going to they're not going to show us. And then there's a list of the panels. That's awesome. I can totally get behind that. And then, oh, this is a big one. This is kind of huge. It's not going to take us very long to talk about it, but it's kind of huge. We have George Lucas. He's going to be at Comic-Con. I don't know that this is the first time he's ever been to Comic-Con, but they're kind of painting it out to be that way. Article reads, legendary filmmaker and creator of Star Wars franchise George Lucas is set to finally make an appearance at San Diego Comic-Con, joining Academy Award-winning director Guillermo del Toro and renowned artist Doug Chiang, known for shaping the look of Star Wars as we know it, on Sunday, July 27th in Hall H. So that's who's going to be doing the Hall. Well, no, because Marvel is not usually on Sundays for Hall H. So that's just them trying to get people to stick around on Sunday, I bet. We are beyond thrilled to welcome George Lucas to Comic-Con for the very first time. So this is the first time he's been to San Diego Comic-Con. It's not to say he hasn't been to a different Comic-Con, but this is the first time he's been to the quote-unquote Comic-Con, right? Comic-Con's chief of communication and strategy said in a statement in the press release, quote, nearly 5 decades ago, Star Wars made one of its earliest public appearances at our convention, along with booth featuring Howard Chaykin's now legendary Star Wars poster and promotional item. Now to have Mr. Lucas return. See? They're liars. This is not his first time. This is the first time in a long time, but it's not his first time. It's time to debut the Lucas Museum of Narrative Art. That's cool. It's a true full-circle moment. Its lifelong dedication to visual storytelling and world-building resonates deeply with us and our community, and the museum's mission to celebrate narrative art in all its forms perfectly reflects what Comic-Con has championed from the very beginning. Exciting panel from Lucas Museum titled Sneak Peek of the Lucas Museum of Narrative Art will be moderated by multifaceted Queen Latifah. That's kind of cool. Grammy and Emmy and Golden Globe winner, as well as Academy Award nominee and dedicated fan of fantasy and pop culture. Panel will feature a conversation with these iconic Star Wars creators. What? Queen Latifah is not a Star Wars creator. Who will be exploring the profound impact of illustrated stories on humanity, as well as significance of narrative art in our society. From ancient cave drawings and hieroglyphics to modern paintings, comics, digital media, and sculptures. This panel promises to uncover the universal language that connects us through illustrated storytelling. That's cool. Oh, it's going to be all 4 of them? That's even cooler. George Lucas, Guillermo del Toro, Doug Chiang, and Queen Latifah as the moderator. That's, yeah, no, that's, I'm super jealous of anybody who's getting to go to San Diego Comic-Con this year. That's awesome. And then our final one here is another follow-up from a piece we talked about last week in the regular news show. Or it was, yeah, it was last week. Biker Mice from Mars will be con goers at the Oni. That we talked about this. That what is the name of the company? The 𝘚𝘯𝘯 company is going to have a presence at San Diego Comic-Con, and Biker Mice from Mars is going to be part of that presence. So, in partnership between Comic Book Legal Defense Fund, the 𝘚𝘯𝘯 company, and Oni Press, the CBLDF. Comic Book Leave Defense. There we, oh, that's what that means. Okay. Annual San Diego Comic-Con welcome party returns, taking place at the Westgate Hotel Thursday, July 24th. The upcoming CBLDF party will be sponsored by Oni, 𝘚𝘯𝘯, Mad Cave Studios, Kickstarter, Global Comics, and Raremark. First 50 attendees who donate $25 or more will get a gift bag issue of Biker Mice from Mars #1. There we go. It's finally coming out. Speed Racer bandana for Speed Racer #0, rather the book Speed Racer 0, a new zine from Kickstarter, and more. Check out the details for the party and quotes from some of the sponsors. I just want to see the art. Look at that. Hell yeah. Westgate Hotel. Again, super jealous. All right, that's what we got for comics. So let's get into the... Oh. I know, they get all the cool stuff, don't they? That is a good question. Thank you for asking me. So Chris just asked, for those who are listening in post who aren't looking at chat, Marvel's not showing up to San Diego Comic-Con. Marvel will have a presence at San Diego Comic-Con. They, however, are not going to be doing their Hall H presentation. Also, yeah, no, DC is going to, we just talked about DC. DC is going to be different than they normally would be, but it's not going to be as toned down as Marvel is. Marvel is only going to be there physically. Their Hall H presentation has been canceled this year. We talked about this 3 weeks ago, I think, when it was originally announced that Feige was pulling out of Hall H this year. A big part of that, he's saying in public, though it seems to be playing out a little bit differently behind the scenes. A big part of why San Diego Comic-Con, or why Marvel is not going to have their Hall H presentation at San Diego Comic-Con, is because it's the same weekend as Fantastic Four. So that's being read as Marvel doesn't have the confidence in Fantastic Four as a movie to do well as they should. But what Feige is saying is he has to focus on Fantastic Four and can't also be trying to put together a Hall H presentation at the same time. He just doesn't have the mental bandwidth for it. So I don't know. It sounds more... it sounds like it could be honestly a mixture of the two. But we don't really know because we're not behind the scenes. We're not inside Feige's head. So, also, yes, we will be getting to Superman this, when we get into the movie section, sir. But yes, it is doing fairly well in the theaters and such. So very astute observation of you, sir. But we will, once again, we will get there. So next up though, instead of comic books, let's go do the other fancy thing. Next up is TV. We got TV stuff to talk about. There's a little bit here. I think the more fun bits are going to be next in movies, but TV is next. So first up on the docket for TV is 2 follow-ups on the same piece, is South Park. So the first one is the big one of the two, and that is the South Park creators Trey Parker and Matt Stone are getting a little grumpy. Specifically, the company that they own that is in charge of production of South Park is starting to use some very legalese sounding language when talking to Skydance. So the article is as follows: in On the precipice of South Park returning to the screen for its 27th season, the beloved animated series has run into some serious drama. Originally scheduled to release earlier this month, new season was delayed until July 23rd, but even this release date might be pushed back, as a streaming legal war takes place between Paramount and Warner Bros. For the Comedy Central show. Matt Stone and Trey Parker are playing their major role in the proceedings. In a new letter issued to Skydance, Park County, the company behind South Park, revealed some strong words for the company set to merge with Paramount. Hollywood Reporter recently released a breakdown of the ongoing legal battle between the many parties involved in South Park and its streaming rights. Specifically, the outlet notes that Park County had taken an $800 million loan, and the upcoming merger between Paramount and Skydance potentially puts paying back said loan at risk. As THR explains, Skydance believes it can seemingly, quote, approve and deny all material contracts, unquote. Though Parker and Stone assert that this cannot take place until the merger is made official. On the recent letter written June 21st from Park County, the creators stated, quote, we hereby demand that you, Redbird, and Skydance immediately cease your interference. If these activities continue, we will have no choice but to act to both protect our rights and discharge any obligations we may have to the public, unquote. Earlier this month, fans were stunned when Paramount Plus kept South Park specials and the first feature-length film of the franchise, but had erased all the episodes from previous seasons. In a previous statement, Stone and Parker had stated in no uncertain terms that the licensing issue was the reasoning behind the delay of the upcoming season. This merger is a shit show and is effing up South Park. We are at the studio working on new episodes, and we hope the fans get to see them somehow. We talked about this when it happened a couple weeks ago. Official statement was also released by Park County stating the following: there is no resolution at this time, but all involved recognize the need for a quick positive resolution, unquote. As of the writing of this article, which was today, there has been no word regarding whether South Park's 27th season will be delayed even further as a result of the legal dispute, but fans shouldn't be surprised if they'll need to wait a bit longer to see the return of Stan, Kyle, Cartman, and Kenny. Oof. Threatening legal action, it would seem. That's insane. But it doesn't seem to be putting too much of a thorn in the side of their other operations, because our next piece will elucidate something else. South Park announces San Diego Comic-Con 2025 plans. So we're still talking about Comic-Con, but South Park is planning a major takeover of San Diego Comic-Con this year as part of Comedy Central's Adult Animation Showcase, but it comes at a time where the animated series is caught within some major license turmoil within Paramount itself. South Park is preparing to return with a new season of episodes later this month, but was shockingly hit with a last-minute delay that moved its premiere a few weeks later than originally intended. This comes tail end of reports of South Park's streaming library license deal getting caught up in some surprising issues with Paramount. Again, we've talked about all this. Amidst the delay of licensing issues, Paramount for the streaming library, Comedy Central has announced their plans for San Diego Comic-Con this year that includes some major events for South Park itself, with series creator Trey Parker and Matt Stone attending a major Hall H panel together with Beavis and Butthead's Mike Judge and Digimon's Digman's Andy Samberg. That sounds like a panel I would absolutely want to go to. July 24th, Thursday. Celebrating the new adult animated offerings, it's certainly going to be an interesting panel for Comedy Central. That's awesome. The panel is dubbed Comedy Central Adult Animation, South Park, Beavis and Butthead, Digman. That's cool. That's, I'm again, super freaking jealous. Next up, this one's interesting. I don't know how deep this one goes, but it's still pretty interesting. So, Married with Children is getting an animated reboot. I didn't read into this article at all. I just saw the headline. It's like, well, we're talking about that. I don't care what the article says. Bundy family, the article starts, but the Bundy family has long been one of the crudest television families to hit the airwaves, as Married with Children ran for a decade with 11 seasons to its name. All right, so I don't know if anyone watching is old enough to have watched it when it was airing, but you are all old enough to go back and watch some now, I would venture. I don't think by today's standards, it's really that bad, being one of the crudest television families to hit the airwaves. Like, I honestly, even at the time, like, it was a little bit more blue than The Simpsons were at the time, but really not by much. And I think, honestly, the only reason that you can say that with confidence is because, like, there were live people on screen, and Al Bundy's penchant, if you will, for scantily clad women on the show is kind of the thing that made it a little bit more blue than The Simpsons. But, like, the humor was in line in a lot of ways with The Simpsons, maybe a little bit more abusive between Al and Peggy, but, like, honestly, it was just as subversive as The Simpsons. And The Simpsons has been regarded as TV's, like, wonder child since its third season, since forever ago. So, like, I don't know if that is an accurate statement or ever really was. It was definitely, Fox definitely tried to bill them as the crudest television family to hit airwaves. A lot of media outlets tried to do that as well. A lot of religious types tried to get them banned from the airwaves because of how blue the show was. But, like, I mean, it really wasn't that bad. There was some stuff in there that was like, all right, that's pretty out there, but, like, those moments were kind of few and far between. And you had similar stuff, maybe not in the same exact nature, but very similar on stuff like The Simpsons and whatnot. So, anyway, continuing on with the article. Sorry, distracted by the chat. Anyway. Since coming to an end in 1997, the cast has moved on with their lives and careers, never returning to play the likes of Al, Peggy, Kelly, and Bud. In recent years, however, the idea of the Bundy clan making a comeback became far more likely, as Married with Children animated series has seemingly been in the works. Unfortunately, recent news might be a mixed bag for those hoping for a revival. So, apparently this flew under my radar, that there was an animated series for a reboot that was in the works, and it seems maybe this has been being squashed or something. But according to the outlet TV Line, which is the third, TV Line is not who I'm thinking it was. Anyway, Married with Children, an animated revival has been canceled. While this is certainly bad news for fans, especially since original actors Ed O'Neill, Katie Sagal, Christina Applegate, and David Faustino were slated to reprise their roles, all is not lost. Sony Pictures Television, according to the same source, believe that the Bundys remain a, quote, very important property, unquote, for the company. Though how the family will resurface remains a mystery. The original pitch for the animated series would see the Bundys moving to Chicago, from Chicago to Florida, having to deal with new problems if they tried to become familiar with their new home. And then it goes on to detail official synopsis. Here, yeah, this official synopsis for the potential animated series that will never be now, apparently. As the Bundys get to know their Latin neighbors, war with HOA snobs, and yuck it up at their community pool, Al is desperate to be a big shot, but continually gets fleeced in Florida, where the weather is sunny, but the people are shady. In 2023, Christina Applegate had commented on the project while speaking to Al at Vanity Fair, stating that even with multiple sclerosis, she could still record lines for the upcoming series. Can't even imagine going to set right now. This is a progressive disease. No kidding. Bundys may not be making a comeback. Katie Sagal is prepared to be part of another big project involved in the animation world. Netflix's One Piece cast Peggy as Dr. Curia for its second season. Oh, interesting. Katie Sagal is going to be in the live-action One Piece show. Huh. That's kind of cool. So, yeah, we almost got an animated reboot for Married with Children. That's crazy. Next up, this is a quick one that is also, I think, Comic-Con related. But for those Funko Pop collectors out there, and also those nerdy enough to remember Firefly, we now have Firefly Funkos. Blah, 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 blah. First day, once again, new tongue. We have Wash, we have Anara, we have Shep, Kaylee, Malcolm, River, and Zoe, all in the Funko world. Can I open the picture, please? Whatever. There you go. That's what it looks like. You got 2 different Shepherd books. That's cool. That's 2 different Kayleys, too. Ha! That's cool. I dig it. So, yeah, Funkos for you Funko creators. That's pretty awesome. Next up, we have... Oh, no, we're going to do this one first, and then we'll do that one. All right, so next up is an actual news piece, and then the last one is not a news piece so much as just looking to see which of the canceled shows this year was really a disappointment that it was canceled. So, next, Jensen Ackles, though, major tease for his New Boys spinoff series. Forgot this was happening until I saw the headline for this article. I was like, oh, yeah, that's happening. That's a thing that we need to be prepared for. So, actor Jensen Ackles, who portrays Soldier Boy. Sorry, apparently I need a drink and I don't have any water next to me. I don't have my dubby. Where's my dubby? Soldier Boy in The Boys has given fans a brief idea of what the upcoming prequel series, Vought Rising, will offer in terms of his character. Speaking to at Creation Entertainment's The Road So Far, The Road Ahead, Creation Novi Michigan Convention. Good Lord, that is a mouthful. Ackles offered a major tease of what the spinoff show will explore and what it means for his fan favorite character, suggesting that the fans will get to see a softer and more vulnerable side to Soldier Boy, which is probably due because in the comic books, he's definitely, I don't know if soft and vulnerable is the better description, but not the same. He pees himself a lot. In a clip shared by Fangasm, Ackles discusses the way that Vought Rising will allow viewers to see his character through, quote, a different lens, unquote. As the spinoff takes place well before the events of The Boys, Soldier Boy hasn't had decades to mask his feelings and build up a gruff exterior, and that the show will, quote, peel a lot of that away, unquote. As you see a more vulnerable and open version of the character. According to Ackles, prequel will also be, quote, about what drove him to be where he is and the insecurity that he has. Fair, but again, I don't know if we're going to see Soldier Boy wetting his pants anytime soon. So yeah. Vought Rising, no release date, no potential. Gen V is a series of younger superheroes, and then the upcoming The Boys Mexico. That's one that I have not seen on my radar yet either, is The Boys Mexico. Interesting. So yeah, if we can find more information on that before next time we meet, I will do what I can to elucidate on that topic. But our final piece for TV is a list of shows that have already been canceled in 2025. As provided by comicbook.com. And are these really bad shows? So, first up, we have The Franchise. After premiering October 2024 to positive reviews, HBO's satirical comedy series The Franchise explored behind-the-scenes complications and obstacles during production of a movie that's part of a larger superhero franchise. Series poked fun at... Oh, I thought this was a movie. Honestly, when I saw the promos for this, I really thought it was a movie. And it was on HBO Max. So you can still watch the first season because almost everybody has HBO Max. Suits LA, that one sucks because the Suits, at least I haven't watched the LA stuff, but the original Suits series is pretty good. I'm working my way through it right now. Based on a true story, I remember seeing something about this, but again, I'm not don't care a whole bunch. Kaylee Cuoco and Chris Messina, Peacock's based on a true story, featured the former as a true crime obsessed Ava Bartlett, who starts a podcast with her husband, Messina's Nathan Bartlett, after they realize that their plumber is a serial killer. Based on a true story, has all the ingredients for a successful series, and his second season performed better and achieved more success. Even so, Peacock canceled the series April of 25. The exact reason hasn't been confirmed. Wah, wah. clean slate, not one that is really on anybody's radar. Like, how is this? I've said it before, and I will continue to say it as much as I can. The only reason I use comicbook.com is because sometimes they have interesting stuff. But by and large, they are not one of us, guys. Like, they just do what they have to do. Because, like, this is The Residents. Like, who in this... Uzo Aduba is great in Orange is the New Black. She's been great in a couple other things, too. But, like, as far as, like, comic book-related stuff is concerned, this is not fodder for a website called comicbook.com. I don't get it. Mythic Quest got canceled. I didn't know that. I also haven't been watching it because I don't have Apple TV Plus, so I have to watch it through other means. But throughout its 4-season run, 2020 and 2025, Mythic Quest became one of Apple TV's most beloved shows, starring Rob McElhenney as Ian Grimm, the creator of the Mythic Quest video game. Apple chose to cancel the series in April of 2025, despite its positive reviews and high ratings. Consequently, season 4 finale, Heaven and Hell, was edited to receive a new ending that gave the series a more satisfying conclusion. The series could have continued for years to come, and the positive response to its anthology spinoff SideQuest proves it could have been an even bigger success. That's right. How to Die Alone, once again, not nerd-related, not comic book-related. The Recruit spy series, this one I can see is a little bit more nerd-related. I still didn't watch it, though. Wheel of Time, this one kind of bummed me out a little bit. Amazon cited high production costs and changing viewership trends as reason to cancel Wheel of Time after 3 seasons. There are a couple other things that I'm sure factored into that, but that's what they're saying officially. Decision spurred a fan campaign for the series to return, however, including a petition that has garnered over 195,000 signatures. Even so, there's no sign of the Wheel of Time returning to live action. Much to the disappointment of huge fan base and the creative team boasting an impressive cast and an expensive fantasy narrative, it's no surprise, the Wheel of Time was so expensive to produce, but it's still a shame the series was canceled before its time. And then the one that kind of breaks my heart the most is Frasier. We got 1 season, or is it 2 seasons? Most iconic sitcom, Frasier. One of TV's most iconic sitcoms, Frasier, returned to our screens in 2023 after 19 years off the air. However, the revival and sequel series, which brought back Kelsey Grammer's Frasier Crane, didn't manage to achieve the success of its parent show. The revival was canceled by Paramount in January 2020, so that's 2 seasons. While CBS Studios has made attempts to shop it to other studios, none have taken the bait. After 2 seasons, it's a shame to see Frasier disappoint yet again, especially since the revival series may have inadvertently tarnished the impressive legacy of the original show. Frasier, spinoff from the yet another iconic Cheers, previously ran for 11 seasons between 1993 and 2004. Frasier was a monumental success and holds an important place in TV history, and a lot of nerdy history, too. Like, honestly, Frasier and Niles together are... They kind of, in a lot of ways, lay the groundwork for stuff like The Big Bang Theory because of their interpersonal relationship. Being brothers is kind of irrelevant, but like the outcasts in society is because of their intellect element, I think, is what really like kind of laid the groundwork for something like Big Bang Theory. And that's probably why I appreciate The Big Bang Theory more than most nerds, because I don't see the nerds as the punchlines. I just see them as the storytelling devices, because in Cheers, Frasier and Niles weren't, I mean, sometimes, sure, they were individually punchlines, but it wasn't because of their intellect necessarily. It was more because, like, the moment called for someone to do something silly, and, like, that's what the punchline was, right? So, yeah, that sucks. Makes me a little bit sad. But yeah, so that's the TV section. Now let's get into that rumor mill section, Chris, like you were wanting to do. Not rumors, I'm sorry. Oh no, we just did that whole section in the wrong screen. So I am sorry. That's really stupid. Well, too late now. I might have to edit that in post, but whatever. So, last but not least, we have movie section. All right, I'm not going to forget to push the button this time. Let's push the damn button. Hey, look at that. All right. So, finishing off this, we only have 3 pieces in movies, but... first one on the list is, in fact, Superman. Recent report has revealed the salaries of the leading actors have been paid for in James Gunn's Superman movie, which confirms what was first reported on CosmicBook.news. Via Puck, it's revealed that David Cornsweet and Rachel Brosnahan were both only paid $750K, despite Cornsweet being the lead and Brosnahan being support, and that Nicholas Hoult was paid $2 million to play the villain Lex Luthor. The reason Hoult was paid much more is likely because his movie experience, whereas Cornsweet and Brosnahan are known for their television roles. Obviously, that means that the actors in the movie were paid less, and worth a mention is that when Gunn responded to claims his Superman movie has a budget of $363 million, he basically laughed that off and said he wished he had that budget. It's been reported the budget is $225 million. If that's the salary for the leads, that makes sense. Does make you wonder how much he gave. Oh, good Lord. Guy Gardner, Nathan Fillion. Wow. Kind of makes you wonder how much he paid Nathan Fillion to do it, because, like, Nathan Fillion probably has, well, I don't know. Nicholas Hoult might have the biggest name on that bill right now, but Nathan Fillion has the most movie screen time. And in the nerdy community, I would argue he's kind of a bigger draw in a lot of ways. Like, if it was if the target audience was more the normies, then that would make sense. But anyway, but I'm smaller budget, smaller break-even number. Worth a mention is it Gun 225. That's, we just read that. Variety also recently came out and said WB only spent $100 million on marketing. We can also add that Gunn's decision to put himself at the forefront of the marketing campaign likely contributed to saving money. The Wall Street Journal also recently reported WB will be happy if the Superman box office finishes in the 500 millions, which would mean the break-even number of around 560 million. So, yeah, I mean, that's... Zaslav says, make it cheaper, and Gunn says, done. This also potentially means that Jason Momoa is going to be taking a pay cut as he's changing characters from Aquaman to Lobo, which also likely means that we're going to be seeing less Lobo than we did Aquaman, which makes sense. And then the rest of this is just SEO fluff. So, yes, it is doing super well, and better, in fact, than is potentially even being reported, because it was cheaper to make than previous DC movies over at Warner Brothers. So, exceedingly well. Next up is one that, I don't know, I thought was interesting. Continuing with Josh Gad stuff. Ariana Grande, Josh Gad to lead Dr. Seuss. Oh, shut up. Continue without. John M. Chu, Oh, the Places You'll Go animated movie. John Chu and Jill Colton direct Warner Brothers musical from J.J. Abrams that adopts Dr. Seuss's final book. Ariana Grande and Josh Gad are set to begin quite a journey. Warner Brothers Pictures Animation announced Tuesday that the pair will lead the voice cast for directors John M. Chu and Jill Colton's forthcoming animated adaptation of the Dr. Seuss book, Oh, the Places You Will Go. Musical film is set for theatrical release in IMAX on March 17th, of 2028. Rob Lieber penned the script based on Dr. Seuss's acclaimed children's book, hailing from Dr. Seuss Enterprises and Bad Robot. Oh, the Places You'll Go is seen as priority for the studio. Interesting. Priority, even. Oh, for Bad Robot? No, for Warner Brothers. It is priority for Warner Brothers. Film is set to center around a young adventurer navigating the ups and downs of life. It is based on Dr. Seuss's last published book, which was released in 1990. Beloved author died the following year at the age of 87. Chu is coming off the success of Universal Oscar-winning adaptation of Wicked, which stars Ariana Grande as Glinda. Wicked for Good, the second film of the two-part release, hits theaters this November. Grande is also set to appear in the next film in the Meet the Parents franchise alongside Ben Stiller and Robert De Niro. We talked about that a couple weeks ago on the show. Gad's future projects include producing and starring in Amazon's Spaceballs 2, which we've been covering ad nauseum, I think, at this point. Warner Brothers Pictures Animation has set animated feature The Cat in the Hat for release February 27th. We talked about that one 2 weeks ago. Bill Hader voicing the titular feline. So, yeah, a lot of really cool stuff going on right now as far as Warner Brothers is actually concerned. We have one more piece. One more piece. Oh, this one kind of is interesting, is weird. Because I don't know how I felt about how this was going to begin with, but now that it's done, like, I'm kind of disappointed because I wanted to see this. But Guy Ritchie exits as director of Amazon's Roadhouse 2. Jake Gyllenhaal is set to reprise his role in the sequel to the studio's 2024 remake of the 1980s cult classic. Guy Ritchie has exited as director. Jake Gyllenhaal set to return. We already got that bit, which Doug Liman directed the first movie. In last year's remake, Jake Gyllenhaal plays Dalton, former UFC fighter who takes a job as a bouncer at a roadside bar in the Florida Keys. Screenwriter Will Beal, whose recent credits include Beverly Hills Cop Axel F. and Bad Boys Ride or Die, is penning the script for Roadhouse 2. Producers include Atlas Entertainment's Charlie Roven and Alex Gartner, along with Gyllenhaal and Josh McLaughlin for 9 Stories Productions. The Hollywood Reporter reported in April that Guy Ritchie signed on to direct Roadhouse 2. Plot details for the sequel have not yet been shared. Roadhouse franchise originated in '89 film Rowdy Harrington, starring Patrick Swayze. United Artists movie collected $30 million at the box office. Lehman made headlines January with his opening letter expressing frustration that Amazon MGM was not releasing Roadhouse in theaters. Also starring Daniela Melchior, Billy Magnuson, and Jessica Williams. The movie made its streaming debut on Prime 2 months later, with 80 million worldwide viewers watching in its first 8 weeks. Ritchie's most recent film, Fountain of Youth, stars John Krasinski. Natalie Portman debuts on Apple TV Plus in May. No word about the... Oh, I can't even remember who the casting announcement was now, but... There was I guess it was technically a rumor for somebody being cast as the mentor to Gyllenhaal's character. So that is unfortunate, but it is what it is. And I believe, nerds, that is where things... Yes, that is what we have for our show this week. Took me... That's about what I anticipated it would be. So... Thank you so much for everyone who was here for the live show. Sorry, I will try and fix the TV when we cut this down for the clips channel. I will do what I can to add the TV stuff in over the top. That was really dumb, and I'm sorry. But and it also killed the viewership because I was not paying close enough attention. So it is what it is. But thank you very much, nerds, for joining me. This is where I leave you. Don't forget to go down into the comments section and just, let me know what I missed. It's something that maybe I covered a few months ago and said that we would follow up on, and you haven't heard anything for a while. Let me know in the comments what that is, and I'll see if I can dig something up, because I try and keep pretty good tabs on the follow-ups, but sometimes things slip through the cracks. So if there's something you want me to dig into, absolutely let me hear about it, because like I said, the next month or so is going to be kind of up in the air as far as what these episodes look like. So when we come back hard in August, then I want to be able to come back with stuff that you guys want to hear about specifically. So let me know anything like that down in the comments. If you have not already, don't forget to subscribe. Share the show with everyone you know, because that is the way that this stuff grows. That is the only way for a podcast to really make it on YouTube these days, is if you tell everyone, because algorithms work against the little guy, and that is what this show is the little guy. I am a one-man show. I got no staff. I can't afford to pay them because YouTube doesn't pay me. So thank you very much, nerds. We'll see you in the next one. Before we go, always remember that if it's generally nerdy, it's probably